So today's video is a little bit different because today I'm going to run you through the journey I had being on the keto diet for 2 weeks. And you're going to see how I got on in those 2 weeks, the kind of things I was eating, how I was feeling. And of course, I'm going to show you the results of being on keto for 2 weeks and how it affected and changed my body and any takeaways I have and my opinions on the keto diet. So we're going to dive into that in just a minute, but quickly before we do, let me just actually tell you what the keto diet is, just in case you don't know. So the keto diet is when you eat very low carbohydrates and sugar, and your diet is basically just made up of protein and fats. Because what this does is it puts your body into something called ketosis. And so what is ketosis? Well, your body can run off two different sources of energy. It can run off glucose, which you find in carbohydrates and sugar, and it can run off ketones, which is the energy that your body can get from fat. Now, when you eat carbohydrates and sugar all the time, your body will just stick to running off glucose. But if the glucose isn't there because you're not eating very much carbohydrates and sugar, your body starts turning fat into energy, and that energy is called ketones, and that is what your body runs off instead. And that's the reason why a lot of people will try to go on the keto diet to lose fat. Because what your body is essentially doing, it starts burning your fat storage as energy, rather than when you're consuming lots of carbohydrates and your body never gets the chance to tap into those fat stores. So that is essentially how the keto diet works. So now let's dive into my first day of being on the keto diet. So I just woken up a couple of hours ago. I haven't eaten anything yet today, and this is the first day of me trying the keto diet. So what I thought I'd do was do a few measurements on my body, and in a couple of hours when I go to the gym, I am going to weigh myself, just so I can keep track of my body and how it changes going on the keto diet. So this is my body on day one, and to be fair, I have picked some pretty bad neutral lighting. I do look much better in a different lighting, but the neutral lighting's pretty good, and I kept that lighting for the after shots as well. And you can also see on the screen the measurements and my weight at the start of this 2 weeks. So I'm about to make my breakfast, first meal of the day. It's 9:25. I'll make it and then I will show you exactly what I'm having for my first meal on the keto diet. I've got scrambled eggs. That's 4 eggs with feta. Really good combo. If you haven't tried it, I definitely suggest. I've got 2 little turkey burgers and some avocado. I have actually weighed the food that I'm eating. I don't normally do that. I'm not normally a huge fan of tracking food, but especially for the first couple of days, just because I want to make sure I'm getting this right with the keto. And also it'd be interesting to see, and obviously for you guys to see exactly what I'm eating and the macros I'm getting in. So I just had my breakfast. It was delicious. To be honest, it's what I normally eat for breakfast. I normally eat a very low carb breakfast anyway, so not a big change there. I've just worked out my macros for that meal, and wow, I tell you what, I would not want to track macros every day. It's actually quite time consuming. So fats, I got in 66 grams of fat, which is pretty high, but you generally are pretty high with fats on keto. I got 59 grams of protein, which is brilliant. That's lots of protein for your first meal, and 7 grams of carbs, which is keeping the carbs nice and low. I'm also not too worried because actually most of that carbs comes from the avocado, which is actually fiber, not glucose. So that is my first meal. As I said, it was delicious. It's filled me up. I'm probably going to go for a little walk now, then come back, do a little bit more work, and then in a few hours I will go to the gym. So I am off to go and do a workout now. My energy is feeling good. To be honest, day one, I'm probably not even in ketosis yet, so it'll probably be the next couple of days where we will see whether or not it affects my lifts and my energy in the gym. Just got back from the gym, really good workout, felt normal. As I said, day one, not really probably going to be feeling much of a difference in my energy or how I feel in the gym. So as we go on, I will keep you updated on how my workouts go. So this is my lunch, my post-workout meal. I don't know why I put it on such a small plate, but I did. So we've got some Parmesan cheese, some olives, and a good load of chicken thighs there, you can see that. I'm also probably going to have a bit of yogurt with some nuts and seeds in it or something after this, but we're going to start off with this because it does actually look really good. These chicken thighs I cooked last night for supper, and that's actually such an effective thing to do, whatever diet you're doing, is if you're someone who finds you're reaching for convenient things that maybe aren't so healthy at lunchtime, if you just eat leftovers from the night before and just make sure you're cooking an extra portion of whatever you're doing the night before, it makes lunch really easy and it means you can stick to healthy things. So I've now got some yogurt as well, and I'm literally mixing in that with a couple of nuts, not too many nuts because they do have a little bit of carb in them, and a unflavoured pea protein, which I thought pea protein would have carbs in it, but on the packet it says it doesn't have any in it. And I'm gonna be honest, it doesn't look great. This is probably the first thing I've eaten, or only on day one, on the keto thing, where I'm like, I'd really like some honey right now in this. I don't think this is gonna taste particularly amazing. Yeah, as expected, very bland, not great, but it's edible. But anyway, I'm having this as well, and in a second I will let you know on the macros for post-workout lunch that I've just had. So I just worked out the macros, and I've done 88 grams of fats, 102 grams of protein, so very high in protein, and 10.8 grams of carbs, which is a little higher than I was expecting. I didn't realize actually that there's a bit of carb in yogurt. I probably should have checked that, but I hadn't. But I'm not too worried about that because breakfast was very low in carb. So that's breakfast and lunch down on day one. I'm feeling very full and satisfied from my meals. I mean, there's certainly not a lack of flavour when eating keto, I would say. So far it's easy, but we are only 2 meals in. And don't worry, I'm not doing this every single day, otherwise this video would be like 5 hours long. But I thought just for the first day to give you a clear look into what kind of things I'm eating and the macros I'm doing. So yeah, I need to have a shower and then get on with a bit of work, and I will show you what I'm eating for dinner later. So for dinner I had beef meatballs with a little bit of veg in there, but not too much veg to keep the carbs nice and low. So my total macros and calories for the day were 248 grams of fat, 213 grams of protein, and 25 grams of carbs. That's probably a little bit higher in carbs than I probably should have gone for. But as I did mention earlier in the video, some of those carbs that I counted are actually fiber, which is not going to knock you out of ketosis in any way. And then the calories were 3,200 calories. Now, I am not a big fan of calorie counting. Firstly, because it's actually really difficult to be remotely accurate when you're measuring calories. Plus, there's so many things about the human body and how food affects it that just counting calories doesn't account for. But I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole in this video. But those were my macros and calories for the first day. And like I said in the video when I was talking about my macros, I found it really time consuming, and so actually day one was the only day where I tracked that. And I think that's okay because what you see me eating on day one, it's quite samey. I'm eating a very similar thing each day. So again, it's high protein, high fats, low carbs, and it's pretty much all whole foods. So now let's dive back into it. So it's now about 8:30. I'm about to go to bed. I know, very early, but I wake up at 5:30, so I need to get my sleep, but I need to quickly pee on a stick. No, I am not pregnant. I am peeing on this thing, which basically measures the level of ketones in your body. So it's basically going to tell me if I'm in ketosis or not. So hopefully I am, because that is the point of going on a keto diet. It doesn't really look like I'm in ketosis yet. It doesn't look like I've got lots of ketones according to the test, but we'll leave it for now. Tomorrow morning, I'll do another test and see how we're getting on. So it's day 2 of being on the keto diet. I've just woken up and had my cold shower, and I just tested my ketones again. Still nothing, but I actually did a little bit of research. It says it generally can take a few days to get into ketosis, so I'm not too worried about that. So it's the evening of day 2. I've just done another one of these ketone strips, and it looks like I am a little bit in ketosis. It's not super dark, which means I don't have loads of ketones flowing about yet, but it's darker than yesterday, so there definitely are some ketones going about in my body. So that is a good sign, and and it means we're on a good track. And I'm just going to continue to eat how I've been eating, and I'm sure it will continue to get darker and I will continue to be using more and more ketones for energy. So day 3 and 4, there wasn't much to update on. I was staying in ketosis, I was eating similar things, and my energy didn't really change. I still felt pretty much normal. My energy felt good. So I just got up, it's day 5. I did another ketone test and I am now properly in ketosis, which is great news. So we are well on track, and I'm going to take you through my day today, what I'm eating and how my workout goes. So here's my breakfast for day 5. Again, 4 eggs with some feta on it. I basically eat that every morning, and I've got some bacon. This is what I've had the last few breakfasts. The only other thing is I normally would have a bit of avocado, but I've run out. So yeah, I'm going to eat this now, and in a couple of hours I'm going to go and do a leg workout. So just got back from my leg workout, and it was actually a pretty awesome leg workout. I absolutely smashed it. So I know I'm only 5 days in, but so far keto has definitely not negatively affected my energy levels or my performance in the gym in any way. So after day 5, we then had the weekend. And the weekend was when I first found myself feeling like this diet was really quite restrictive. I went to my fiance's younger sister's birthday party, and there was cake there, and I was looking at it and I was like, oh, that looks really good. And so yeah, that weekend was the first time where I was starting to want to crave something sweet and was just kind of missing certain foods. But I stayed strong, I stayed in ketosis, and we came on to week 2. So it's Monday morning, and it is the beginning of the 2nd week of being on this keto diet. I've been doing the odd keto test here and there, but every time I check, I am in ketosis, so I'm not too worried about that anymore. Things are still going well, my energy still feels good. This week in the gym, I'm going to be trying to hit some PRs on my lifts, so we will see how I get on with that. So I just got back from my Monday upper body workout. Another decent workout, to be honest. There were 1 or 2 exercises where I didn't quite hit the reps or the weight that I wanted to. I don't know if that's anything to do with being on keto or whether that just happens to be that that's what it was today. I will keep you updated and see how my workouts go for the rest of this week. So that was the first day of week 2, and to be honest, I didn't really do a huge amount of filming in week 2, and the only reason for that is it's just kind of pretty boring content because I was basically continuing to do the same thing. I was eating very samey, similar things. My workouts were still feeling pretty good. My energy was still feeling pretty good. And as I said before, I was feeling a little bit restricted and wanting something sweet. But other than that, nothing was really changing. So that's how most of week 2 was going. So it's Thursday morning of week 2 of being on the keto diet. 1 or 2 things I have noticed. Firstly, and this is something that I was aware of when I started the keto diet because I did some research on it, I am thirsty like all the time. I feel much more dehydrated when I'm on the keto diet compared to when I just normally eat. So that's one thing. And to be totally honest, I have found that I am every now and again kind of craving something sweet or getting a little bit bored of the diet and the foods that I'm eating. So still going strong, and I definitely think it's had effects on my body. So I'm excited to see in a couple of days what I weigh, and I can do my measurements again and see how my body's changed. So it's Sunday of week 2, which means it is my last day on the keto diet. I'm not gonna lie, I am pretty happy about that because I am personally someone who is a massive foodie, and although I've enjoyed doing this diet and I'm definitely glad I did it, I am missing certain foods. Like I'd normally eat much more vegetables than I have been eating. Some fruit I miss, and just something that's a little bit sweet. So I am looking forward to having some of those things tomorrow. And then the only other thing I would say that I've been missing, which is kind of a weird one, is I miss the feeling of feeling full after a meal. And I've said this about keto, although I haven't been really hungry, the food I've been eating has satisfied me. I've never finished a meal and gone like, oh yeah, I feel nice and full now. So I'm quite looking forward to that as well. I am going to do some measurements again and weigh myself again today, and we will see how the keto diet for 2 weeks has changed my body. So we come to the end of the 2 weeks. I'm now going to show you how my body changed over those 2 weeks, because it's actually quite a big change considering that it was a short amount of time. So as you can see on the video, there is definitely a fairly big visual change in my body. Now, it's not massive, and that is, again, partly to do with the fact that I think I probably could have chosen slightly better lighting, but I think you can absolutely see a very noticeable difference between my body from the start of the 2 weeks to the end of the 2 weeks. But on top of that, I of course did my measurements again to see how my body had changed. And this is where it gets pretty interesting, because as you saw on day 1, my waist was 88 centimeters. And after 2 weeks, it was 84 centimeters. So I lost 4 centimeters off my waist, which is not totally surprising because keto is known for being very effective at fat loss. So I was expecting that to happen. But the thing I was surprised by, my bicep, my quads, and my chest all grew. They all got bigger, which suggests that you can absolutely very effectively build muscle without carbohydrates and just sticking on a keto diet. My chest went from 108 to 109, so 1 centimeter. My bicep went from 40 to 41, again that's a 1 centimeter increase. And my quads went from 58 to 60 centimeters. So not massive growth, but in 2 weeks to see my measurements in muscle go up and my waist to shrink by a good amount in such a short amount of time shows that this diet is pretty effective if you are wanting to try and transform your body in a short amount of time. And then finally, my weight at the beginning was 95 kilograms, and at the end of the 2 weeks, it was 92.5. So that's 2.5 kilos that I lost. But when you remember the fact that my measurements suggest that I built some muscle, that means I lost more than 2.5 kilos of fat in 2 weeks. Those are some pretty amazing results. So to wrap up this video, my final thoughts and feelings about this diet. So obviously the results speak for themselves. My body changed quite a lot in such a short amount of time in a positive way. I built muscle and I lost fat. However, I will say that for the majority of people, I do not think the keto diet is something that you could sustain for very long. And yes, there are people out there who have done keto and have done it for years. And if you've done that and that works for you, great. But for a lot of people, I don't think it's something that you're going to be able to stick to. Me personally, I'm a massive foodie. I love my food. And so cutting out so many different types of foods, cutting out fruit, cutting out vegetables, that was tricky for me. And I always talk about this on my channel, the fact that losing fat, building muscle and getting in great shape, one of the most important things is finding something that is sustainable that you can stick to for the long term or for the rest of your life. And so for that reason, for most people, I probably would not suggest the keto diet as a long-term approach for losing weight or transforming your body and getting in better shape. However, as you can see based on this video, it certainly works. And for some people who have an issue with addiction towards carbohydrates and sugar, or people who have insulin resistance because they've been over-consuming carbohydrates and sugar for a very long period of time, going on the keto diet will probably do amazing things for you. It will be really difficult, especially for you. I did the keto diet for 2 weeks and there were moments where I found it a little bit difficult. And I am someone who eats pretty low carb and sugar anyway. So it will be really difficult, but I would say for those people, if you can do the keto diet for a bit, it probably will have some amazing benefits for you. It will certainly affect your cravings and your hunger levels. If you can stick to it for a couple of weeks, you will find when you go back to consuming some carbohydrates and sugar, the cravings for them won't be there nearly as much. And when you do start eating something with a bit of sugar in again, it will taste much sweeter than it probably did before. And so that's another really good thing. Whereas before it might have been that actually you needed to eat a milk chocolate bar for something to taste really sweet. You could go on the keto diet for a bit, come off it, and you probably eat an apple and think it tastes really sweet because your taste buds have probably changed. So to wrap up this video, I think the keto diet's amazing and it gives you amazing results as this video shows. And for some people, I think it's a great thing to try. And if you can stick to it and it works for you, brilliant. But I would also say for a lot of people, it is probably not the long-term answer for being really healthy and getting in great shape. So I really hope you guys have found this video useful or insightful or just entertaining. If you have, please do like it and do subscribe if you are someone who is wanting to lose weight or build muscle or both and just get in better shape, because I'm going to be making lots and lots of videos on how you do those things, on how you transform your body for life. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.